All right, hello, Covenant Life School. So, this is the art lesson for middle school. We're going to draw this leopard here, and without further ado, let's just get started. Okay, so you're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and probably a pencil sharpener. And I've just got plain copy paper here. I'm trying to keep the materials simple so that you don't have to run out to the store to get anything. Alright, so we're going to start by making the body shape first. And we're going to just start here with the back leg. It's going to be about this tall and a little bit of an angle there. You know what, in fact, I'm going to move it to the left just a tad. The placement is important because we want enough room for the tail coming out the back, but we also don't want to move it too far to the left because then the nose will be bumping this left edge of the paper here. So I'm just going to start off with two simple straight lines. This one is almost flat, maybe angles a little bit upward like so. This one goes up and to the left. And then we're going to curve down a little bit here and then curve back up right there. Okay. Now we're going to move down to the bottom part of the back leg and just make a little line right there. And then we're going to draw a sort of an S curve. So if we were drawing an S that had been stretched out really shallow, it might look something like that. It's not perfectly straight, but it's in the ballpark of an almost straight line with a slight S curve. Alright, next we're going to follow this line upwards just a little bit, and you know what? I think it's a little bit too thin. In just a second here, we're going to take a pause, and I'm going to show you all the different ways that this shape could get a little bit messed up. So let's start by drawing it, and then we'll talk about that. So hang on just a second. Alright, I'm going to darken these lines because I think they're a good shape and proportion for the start of the leopard. Alright. I'm just going over them again. You don't need to darken them too much because some of them might be a little bit erased back. Alright, so let's go over how this could get possibly a little bit messed up. Here's one mistake that might happen. If you accentuate those curves too much, the leopard is going to look like it has a hump on its back and a really massive belly. So that's mistake number one we want to avoid. So if that happened with yours, take a pause, step back. This is the shape that we're looking for here, right? This is step one. I'm going to post this picture in the comments section. All right, let's look at mistake number two. If the lines are too close together, this could also happen, and this will leave you with a noodle leopard that's just way too skinny. So let's try to avoid that. If your lines are too close together, you'll have to erase one, probably the bottom one in this case, and repeat the same line just further down. All right, let's look at another one. This is probably the most common mistake. Too small. So this is the correct shape, but it's way too small. So if you've got this correct shape, but it's really tiny, you'll want to either erase. Now, I know you're drawing very lightly, so that's easy to erase, right? Or you're going to have to just start over on a new piece of paper and make it about this size. I would say that's 5 inches or so, maybe a little bit more than 5 inches. And the last mistake that could happen is off center. So if you started down here, the leopard's head is going to go off to this edge, and its legs are all going to come down here. And if your leopard is down here in this corner, that's not going to work. So you want to try to get it in the center. Simple as that. The worst place would be right here. If it's a little bit up to the right, that's fine. I think it's fine if the tail goes off the edge of the page. Mine does, as you saw at the beginning. I'll pull that back out here. The tail goes off the edge, no big problem, but if the head goes off the edge, we're missing probably the most important part of the drawing. Alright, so this is the most important step right here. If you can get this shape just so, then you're in business. So let's move on. Alright, for the second step, we are going to create some legs. We're going to start creating the legs. So the front leg curves down like this on the front and down like this on the back. And the back leg, we're just going to extend this line and keep it going back here with a little bit of a curve. Just like that. Alright. This line, similar thing. It's easy to make this too long, so I'm going to erase a little bit here to make it shorter. Yeah, so just a little addition onto these two lines that you started with in step 1. Alright, if you've got that, you're ready to go on to step 2 after we just add the beginning of the neck. Now, it may seem funny, but leopards have a pretty decently long neck. It's going to angle like this, and we're going to add the head on in just a minute here. So just start adding these two lines for the neck. Now you notice they go down just a little bit because this leopard is kind of prowling along and its head is downwards. So we've got the two legs on the side of the body that's facing us, and in the next step we're going to add the beginnings of the legs that are on the back. So this is step 3. Again, I'll post step 3 in the comments below. This is what it's going to look like after we're done with this step. Here we go. So it's going to start with a line right about here, close to the beginning of the neck, and it goes down and slightly to the right. Another line right here, just in front of the front of the first front leg, down and slightly to the left this time. Good. That's done, for this step. Next, the back leg. This one has a little bit more of an angle to it. Goes in here, inwards as in towards the center of the leopard. We could call it left. Let's stick with the same language. It goes down and to the left. This one goes down and to the right. And there you go. You have step... Oh, wait, no, sorry. We gotta put the head on here. Okay, so the head is going to be an interesting shape. Let me pull out a piece of practice paper here so I can show you. If you drew a rectangle like this, and then you cut off one edge of it, that is about what the head is going to look like. Notice that it's angled down on the front and up on the back. It's going to give the leopard a look like it's sort of prowling along. So this is the shape we're going to go with. It's a sort of a rectangle with one corner cut off, and it's angled. So let's put that on the neck right here. So there's one corner of the rectangle. There's the second corner. And then here's the corner that's cut off. And the top. Alright, now I'm just going to connect the top to the neck instead of to the other side of the rectangle. And maybe we can erase this down just a little bit. That's sort of the jawline. Alright, if you've got this, we are done with step 3. So let's move right along. I am going to finish off the legs, and then we'll start adding details. So the front leg is going to have a line that goes from here down and to the right, to the left, mostly to the left. So we're just going to go like that. Another line with a little bit of a curve down and to the left as well. Okay, now we'll pause on this leg, and we will finish off this leg right here. This one is completely straightened out because the weight is resting on it, so we can just finish it off with a paw. The paw is generally a sort of triangle, but instead of a point here, we have a curve that comes up and goes like that. So there's the leopard's paw. All right. Now, if you had kept it going up to here, you see how you would get a triangle. So think of it as a generally sort of triangular shape that goes at the end of this leg that you drew in the last step. All right, this one here is a little bit tricky. We're going to start on the back of this back leg, go straight down, and then stop right there. Okay, let's go and finish this side off. So we go down and to the left. Then from here, we go down and to the left, parallel to it. And then we can just finish it off with a curved line and a flat line along the bottom. There's its paw. Now that leg looks a little bit thick, so that's fine. We all make mistakes. I'm going to fix that because otherwise this back leg's going to just look a little too chunky. So I'm drawing the same line but a little bit further back, right there, this way, and a curved line. All right, that looks a little bit better. You know what? Still a little bit off. Let's take this line in even just a little bit more, and there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Something like that. So there's that back paw. Good. Next, let's do the same thing with this one. So we're going to come straight down, right? And straight down on this side as well. Okay? Then, for the front of the paw, we're going to come down and to the left. And for the back of the paw, same thing, down and to the left. Right? So these lines have run almost parallel this whole time, but they're starting to get a little bit closer together because the leg gets thinner and thinner as it goes towards the paw. We can just give it a curved edge right there, and you've got your back paw. So we've got front paw, two back paws, and all we need to do now is come back here and add this front paw. So for this shape, we're going to go to the top line and go down and to the left, right? Then curve around, and then give me another straight line that's parallel to this portion right here. Goes right up to there, and then we'll add a little bit of a curve right here. Okay? Just maybe an S curve. So its paw is sort of cocked as it prowls along. Good. All right. Last step before we start adding details is going to be the tail. So the tail is going to be on the back here, and it's a simple sort of S curve. Like I mentioned, mine tends to go off the edge of the page, but if you get all the way to the back, if you happen to have room, maybe you made your leopard a little bit smaller to start out, you can end the tail like that, just with a U shape. Pretty simple. Okay, so I want to get into drawing the face, and for that we're going to use this close-up version right here because it's a little bit small on the final drawing, and I wanted to create something that shows a little bit more detail for you. So I'm going to snag an extra piece of paper here and just go into how to draw the face a little bit larger, but you can follow along on your drawing that's smaller size. All right, so as we've already done, we've got the head shape that is like a rectangle with its corner chopped off. So there's the head. And the neck is coming in at this sort of an angle. Alright, so if you can get that, you are 90% of the way. The rest is just small details that make it look amazing. So here we go. We're going to add the cheek. The cheek is going to start right down here, curve up, and go all the way to the tip of the nose, which is up here. Alright, now the top of the nose has a little bit of an S curve to it, goes down and then back up into the edge of the face. Now we'll add a little curved line on the front of it, and there's the full nose. Let's add a little curve that shows the lips going away. So now, on the front of this rectangle, we've just drawn one curved line and two more curved lines that go like this and like this, with a little S curve on the top. That's all there is to it, to make the mouth and the nose. We'll add more detail to this soon. Okay, the cheek curves down, and then there's going to be a sort of black patch at the edge of the mouth, and that's going to be right in this area. So I'm just going to draw a curved line to hold that place. Okay, now we're going to draw a line from here up to here, and this is going to be the front of what you might call the cheekbone. So the curve just looks like this, sort of fishing hook shape. Comes up and goes like that, all right? Now right in here is where we're going to draw the eye. The eye is a fairly simple shape. Picture a triangle with curved edges. You see that? Here's one point of the triangle, the other, and the other. This is an eye inside view, and we're going to add it right on the end of this fishing hook shape that we just did. So, curved line, curved line, curved line, and you have an eye. Now we can stick a pupil in there. We can make the front of it a little bit darker and thicker. Make this part a little bit darker and thicker. Create a brow curve like this. And create the nose. Simple as that. Alright. Moving along. We are going to add that dark patch that I was talking about right in here. And let's see, what else do we have? Let's curve the jawline a little bit. Erase it up here. We're going to add an ear right here. So the ear looks like this on the top and like this on the bottom. Alright, now you can make this line a little bit extra dark just to bring out the ear. And you can make a little patch of dark right inside the ear with some hairs sticking out this way and that way, and maybe a little bit of dark on the edge of the ear there. Alright, let's keep going. I'm going to add a little curved line right here inside the nose shape, and that is where the nostril is. I'm going to shade the rest of the nose just a little bit, but not quite as dark as I did with the nostril. And this front cheek area has a little bit more shading to it. And the chin's going to get a little bit more of a curve right here, the very front of the chin. Alright, so I think if we've got all of these steps, we're almost ready to start adding the spots. Okay, I'm going to add a little first spot right here that's kind of heart-shaped. Sometimes leopards have that. It's a heart shape that comes off the end of the eye right there. Okay, Now the spots on the head are simple spots, just like this or like that. They're a little bit irregular sometimes, but in general, they're just simple spots. Here's the key though. They flow in lines. So I know you know how to draw spots. So instead of actually drawing spots, I'm going to draw the lines for you, and I want you to put the spots along the lines so that it looks like this. Again, I'll link this in the description so you can pause the video after you see where the lines go, and you can imitate this drawing instead of what I'm doing here. So the lines come forward in line with the cheekbone, then they go backward, again in line with the cheekbone, and then they curve like that. So you can see this big S shape right here, like that. That is the general pattern of the spots. So you're going to put spots along this line in more or less rows. You can switch it up a little bit, but that's how they go. So along here they flow back, and then the curve sort of shallows out, and then you get a curve that goes up towards the top of the head, and then at the top of the head we've got a sort of direction like this where they fan out a little bit, and they kind of join up with the lines, the flow lines of the spots here. You've got another set of spots that come this way. This is where the whiskers branch out from. You can do 3 or 4 sets of spots along here. You've got some spots right here on the chin, and no spots on this nose area. Usually this is completely free of spots. When you draw the spots, again, you don't have to make every single one a perfect circle. They can get kind of random, and we're going to go over drawing spots along the body in just a minute. Leopards have very interesting spots. They're not perfect circles all the time, and they actually have space in the middle of them, but I'll show you that in just a moment here. Alright, so back to our drawing. Hopefully you were following along and drawing the face right here, not on a separate piece of paper. Alright, so if you've gotten this far, there's only a couple details to add other than the spots. You've got the face. We're going to add a couple of toes onto the feet, like so. Ooh, a stink bug just dropped out of nowhere. Okay, there we go. Couple toes on the feet, and after that, you know what? I think I made this foot a little too small. I'm gonna, instead of adding a toe, I'm gonna add an extra bit of foot onto the end there, and a toe onto this foot. All right. Now we're looking at these paws from the side, so we don't see every single toe. You can add little tufts of hair here and there, like on their elbow joints. You can add a little bit more of an angle up here where his arm comes in, or her. You can add a little bit more of a curve to this back leg. But overall, you know, it's pretty simple. You'll probably want to erase the line in between the tail and the body there. What you can do is add a little bit of shading on the back legs just to show that they are kind of underneath the body and behind. It just adds a little bit of depth to the drawing. So on the top of this leg, we're going to have a little bit of shading, and on the top of this leg. Alright, now the spots. The spots. This takes the longest of any part of this drawing. So you can see that these spots have a sort of pattern where there are holes inside of them. They also run along lines just like they did on the face. Okay, so there's 2 things to remember. Let me give you one last thing to remember as you do the spots. As you get up to the top of the leopard, or any place where it curves away from you, the spots flatten out. Why do they flatten out? Well, just look at this eraser here. This broad side of the eraser is a rectangle, right? Now if I flip it this way, the top has flattened out from your point of view, right? So if we have a theoretical leopard spot, and it is generally a sort of circle shape, as it goes towards the top of the leopard, that circle shape is going to look a little bit more like this, flatter, right? Now, leopard spots, at least on the broad side of the leopard, in the main part of the body, are not, excuse me, they are not circles, but they're rather, think of, what they remind me of is actually a sort of lip shape. Like if someone with lipstick kisses a window, you see one shape like this on the bottom and another shape like this on the top. Oftentimes leopard spots look exactly like that, right? And when they're on a part of the body that's curving away from you, let's say this is the top of the body of the leopard, they're going to look a little bit more squished instead of roundish like that. Last thing about drawing leopard spots, you don't have to stick to only that shape. You can vary it up quite a bit. You can make the top thicker, you can add sides that go straight down, and then a bottom that's a little bit thinner than the top and doesn't quite complete. That would be a fine leopard spot right there, no problem. Towards the ends of the limbs, they start to lose the hole in the middle and they just become regular old speckles that are kind of irregularly shaped. Another thing is that if this is the top of the leopard where its shoulders are, or something like that, or any edge, you can put half a spot along there, and that oftentimes looks really good because it emphasizes that the leopard is, the body of the leopard is curving right there. And if you look on the tail here, you can see I've used almost all simple half spots. There's one or two in here that are full, and they change to stripes towards the end. The end of the tail is gonna have an area at the end that's just all black like this. So that's all I have. I hope that this helps you, gives you the ability to really get into this drawing and have fun and create your own. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, tcleveland@clsemail.org. That's TCLEVELAND @clsemail.org. Thank you. Have fun.